wonder how many goodly side quests are there here. Oh, brave new world that has such NPCs in it. Welcome to Triple Click, where we bring the games to you. This week we talk about open world games. What makes them work as experiences? Do we want to be told what to do? Or do we want to carve our own path? It all depends. I'm Maddy Myers.
I'm Jason Schreier.
And I'm Kirk Hamilton, and hello.
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 Hi.
It's us.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
It's us again.
Everyone out there should be extremely grateful that we have all managed to pull ourselves away from Elden Ring to record a podcast.
Barely.
It's really weirdly true.
This is not
I don't think
a
that's
joke.
ever been so
All of
true.
us are a little bitter that we're not playing Elden Ring right now, and that
Yeah.
we're looking at each other's faces instead of like some horrifying gaping maw of some
Right.
ungodly being.
I'm seeing two smiling friends instead of the back of a helmet.
Do you think I could get away with playing while we record and like have you guys not know? I guess you guys would know because you can see me.
Right. Like if Jason's eyes glaze over, he's like, then we know. We hear him
Right.
clicking a little too quickly.
If I'm
yeah.
talking and then suddenly Jason's like, fuck.
I may have done a call this week where I was playing while on the call.
Wow.
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah. Were you farming or were you doing something hard?
No, it's just exploring. Just
Yeah.
wandering
Right.
around.
Just clearing
You're like,
some
yeah,
mobs.
that sounds great.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Should they just hear me scream, cursing?
This is a video game podcast. You appreciate it. You love it. You're so grateful that we're recording and we're not playing Elden Ring while we record. We would never do that to you. And if
No.
you support that, and I know you do, then you should consider extra super double supporting it by going to MaximumFun.org/join and becoming a Max Fun member. And if you do, you will get access to our monthly bonus
Yes,
episodes.
our monthly
Yeah,
bonus.
that's it.
Monthly bonus.
We love a good bonus.
Monthly bonus. My favorite Elden Ring character is monthly bonus. But our monthly bonus episodes, and this month I feel like this is justice for Suikoden in a way, except it's like fun justice. Jason is going to finally watch Die Hard, which is a delightful film, and we are all three going to spoil it. We're going to analyze it. We're going to talk about how it's a video game. Jason's never seen it before. Kirk and I enjoy it
excited.
a bunch. Gonna be great.
Yes,
Early roll
so
for
excited.
Alan Rickman.
To hang out with John McClane.
Early role for Bruce Willis. Well, early-ish. Different role for him. Anyway, so that is our bonus episode this month. But today we're going to talk about open world games, not just Elden Ring. We will
No.
restrain ourselves somehow. We will
No,
talk
this
about
is
open world games.
This is a way to
in
have
general.
a second Elden Ring episode, sort of. So I was thinking a little while ago that we're going to want to talk about Elden Ring a lot because we're all obsessed with it.
We're all souls pilled.
We're all fully souls pilled at this point. And also that the three big games that we've been talking about recently and that I've at least been spending so much time playing, good Lord, there's been a real shift in my life this last month. I kind of like didn't
Yeah.
play that many games for 3 months, and now suddenly I'm just
And then all you did was play 3 massive open world games.
I am just a gamer. February was the month of being a gamer.
Cheeto crumbs all over. I can see him. Wipe your face, Kirk.
Kirk's entire mouth is covered in orange dust, just
Oh,
on
yeah,
every call.
fully.
We just
Just-
haven't been mentioning it.
I have all my
That's part
snacks
of it.
right here.
Mountain
So
Dew
I was
stacked up in the background.
So I've been thinking about how these three games are different. I think we all have been, because each time we're playing a new one, there's also we're simultaneously playing the one before it and comparing all three of them. So these three games are Dying Light 2, Horizon Forbidden West, and now Elden Ring. All three open world games. And I would say all three very different games. So like the open world way of like describing a game is not all that helpful, like as a term, because so many different
Yeah.
kinds of games can be open world. So I thought it would be interesting if we talked about comparing the three games and like what they do differently, what we like and what we don't like, to kind of determine what each of us individually likes in an open world game, come up with maybe some new language or some new ways of thinking about open world games. So
Time for a taxonomy.
so I'm going to do
Yay!
a quick, this is I guess you could call it's really kind of a personality test. It's like Myers-Briggs for open world video games.
Okay. Are the games taking the test? So we're taking it on their behalf? Okay, great.
The game is taking the test, and I call it ECOTAG, the open world personality test. So The very short version of this, and I won't go on at super great length here because I think we'll all get it, and then we can just start talking about it.
We all already get it, but yeah, go ahead.
They're like, oh,
explain
ECOTAG.
Yeah,
Sure.
you had me at ECOTAG.
So those all stand for something. Open world games can be categorized according to 3 different metrics that you can think of as kind of sliders on a character creation screen. So they're not like flip switches. You're kind of somewhere in between, but you're kind of more toward one end or the other. 3 sliders, and that's ECOTAG. So the 3 sliders are emergent versus controlled, opaque versus transparent, and aesthetic versus gamey. So I'm going to very quickly explain what the 3 of those are. There's one question that you can kind of associate with each one. And I'll just say right now that this is down in the show notes if you want to read along with it, if you find that helpful. So first, you have emergent versus controlled. The question there is how dynamic or simulated is the open world? So an emergent game is one where lots of different simulations are like interacting with one another. There's all kinds of stuff that can happen, like meaningful day-night cycles where like things change, wanted systems, different types of AI, like friendly and hostile that you can manipulate, where you're making your own fun is kind of the quote. Versus controlled, where the world is like more controlled, more static, activities and things are kind of sequestered from one another in the world, and the whole experience is more strongly guided by the developer. So it's like more of a controlled world. So that's emergent versus controlled. So that's EC. Then we have opaque versus transparent. That's how mysterious is the open world. So this is the second fader, and it's basically opaque toward the O end of things. That's like, you're not really sure how this world works. There's a lot of mysteries. The possibilities aren't just revealed to you. The map maybe doesn't show you all the information. When something happens, you don't always immediately know, like a thing doesn't pop up on the screen being like, you've activated like this thing, and you have 5 minutes until the cooldown. Something is just happening, and you're like, why is that happening? So that's the opaque end. The transparent end is like, everything is very clearly explained to you. Your HUD has a lot of information. The map has a lot of information. The game is very clear about what's going on. The last one is aesthetic versus gamey. This is just the open world because we're talking about open world. So in the open world, how involved is like actually moving through the open world compared to, from one game to another. In an aesthetic open world, it's mostly like the world exists. You move through it, like there's still a mechanical aspect to it, but it's kind of just like, it's kind of there. You move through it from place to place, but the actual moving through the world isn't super involved. And then in a very gamey open world, it's like parkour, climbing, stamina bars. There's like a lot of like really active stuff. You're kind of like playing your way through the world, and the world itself is like a big part, like traversal is a big part of the game. So that's gamey.
So Death Stranding broke the slider. It was just way too far.
Yeah,
Death Stranding is definitely, I have that somewhere. So I have a couple of breakdowns. So each one gets 3 letters. Like Death Stranding is an ETG, an emergent, transparent, gamey game. And something like Minecraft is an EOG, an emergent, opaque, gamey game. And, we can talk about all of these. I've kind of figured out what I think some of them are. But I'm kind of realizing when I'm playing Dying Light 2 versus Horizon versus Elden Ring, they're all very different. Like in Dying Light 2, that's a very gamey open world, right? And like the big part of the appeal is the parkour. Maddy, I really liked your article about parkour in that game and how great it is.
Yeah, where I compare it directly to Horizon, which in some ways is an unfair comparison because, well, it is and it isn't. Horizon changed a lot of climbing stuff, and I think they wanted it to feel more like that, but I just don't think that's what's fun about that game, sadly. There's plenty of other stuff that's fun about Horizon, but the parkour in Dying Light 2 is so good that it overshadows everything else in that game that is not that fun.
And like Horizon is an aesthetic open world. Like it's more like you move through it to do stuff, and there is climbing, but the climbing is kind of linear. It's not the same as something like Dying Light. And then I think Elden Ring is interesting because I think that is actually mostly an aesthetic open world. Yeah. Moving through it isn't really like this complicated thing.
There's some platforming, but for the most part.
They're all somewhere on here, but it's really opaque, and I think that's the real magic of that game.
That's the part that's interesting.
So Elden Ring is a COA, controlled opaque aesthetic. So Kirk, what's funny is looking at your list, looking at this metric, and then some of the examples you provided. For example, Red Dead 2 is emergent opaque aesthetic, EOA. Outer Wilds is controlled opaque aesthetic, COA. Horizon is CTA, controlled transparent aesthetic. Assassin's Creed games are what? Controlled transparent gamey. Anyway, point being that I think what I've learned from this exercise is that I love opaque games and hate transparent games for the most part. At least transparent games make me have to tolerate the world and enjoy other stuff, because like there's nothing that bothers me more about these massive open world games than being like, oh, 4,000 icons on my screen. Now I get to go. Like nothing takes away the mystery and the joy of exploration like icons. And if you look at all these, if you think about games, the games that are all about exploration are always opaque, because the joy, the purpose is to explore. Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring, even Skyrim to some extent.
Metroid,
yeah, Metroid is a good example, although it's not an open world. But the games where like the joy, and that's like one of the main reasons I play games, is for the joy of exploration. So the opacity, I think, is a really good thing. Outer Wilds, man, all these games with opaque world maps work for me.
Yeah,
I think it's really interesting that, and especially to use these 3 recent games as a comparison point, that the opacity to me too, like I think that's something I've really learned over the past, not my whole life, but like the past 6 or 7 years, is just looking at this list. I was like, oh, okay. Like Divinity Original Sin 2 is an interesting one, where the world is very controlled, but it's also very opaque. You never really know what you're going to find in that game. And you just walk around in the world and it's like, well, what's this thing do? I don't know. And then you have to figure it out. And that's such a cool part of that game. Outer Wilds is such an interesting open world game because it's very controlled. Like, it's not emergent. You're not like simulations bouncing off of one another, even though it is a big running sim. You kind of just move through it, but the opacity, right? The like figuring out what's going on is what makes it so cool.
Kirk, you know what's funny? Of this list, so you posted a big list: Red Dead 2, Outer Wilds, Gravity Rush, Dying Light 2, Cyberpunk, all these different games. Of this list, every single game with an opaque open world is a game I've finished. Every single game with a transparent game is a game I've not
That's
finished.
so funny.
Wow, the more transparent it is, the less Jason wants to check off all the items on the to-do list.
That makes sense.
I get it,
Really,
though.
like there's nothing I like. I am very much like a gamer who wants to go explore and be rewarded just by the joy of discovering things, as opposed to a checklist, which I just can't stand. I'm just like, I don't want these 4 billion quests in my journal to have to tick off.
Yeah, it stresses me out too, because I will often end up in a headspace that I don't enjoy, that I've described many times on past episodes, where I feel compelled to check off everything on the list, and I end up playing more side quests I don't care about, or like engaging in a lot more of a game than I even want to, because I've kind of been hoodwinked into checking off the items on the list for the sake of getting that feeling of, oh, I'm really getting stuff done. But even while I'm participating in that, I don't like it. I mean, that also means, though, that some of my favorite games are the ones where the side quests are rewarding. Like I mention Assassin's Creed Origins all the time because it's relatively short. Most of the side quests are actually rewarding in terms of story, but it is still a very transparent experience. You know exactly what you're getting from every side quest. There's still dots on the map. I just feel like Assassin's Creed games since then have become bigger and less rewarding for the size, to a level that makes me feel less happy when I'm playing the games, and spend more time with that bad feeling of just chasing the dopamine high as opposed to enjoying the actual experience.
The side quest thing, like I really liked Horizon Forbidden West, and part of that is because I was following a checklist, but then the story quests that I was doing, I was finding them cool, and the story was good. And the story was really the thing that pulled me through that game, in addition to it being a fun game to play.
I appreciated your advice, by the way. It like helped me with my brain problem, because I'm
good.
like, Kirk told me that I don't have to do any of the other side quests, so I won't do them. I'm only going to do the specific side quests that Kirk said I'm going to play. And it has helped me, because I get into unfun modes, and I'm sure other listeners do too. It's hard not to.
Maddy, let me ask you something. I'm curious about this, because the other day I tweeted that you should have a journal while playing Elden Ring, and it was like mildly controversial for some reason.
Yeah, I saw that
and I
too.
got like criticism, and it was very strange. So one thing that became this debate was like over the merits of quest logs, and there became this argument from some people who are accessibility experts being like, hey, a quest log can be really helpful for people with ADHD. And I found that argument to be a little bit spurious, and I say this as someone who is like very much pro accessibility options like color blindness stuff and UI stuff and even easy modes. I think games like Elden Ring could even benefit from an easy mode. But that argument struck me as a little strange for a couple reasons. One, because I think that a quest log is a design choice that can really change the nature of a game for people who are looking at it. And two is because I actually think ADHD notwithstanding, because you can make an argument that like for some people with ADHD, quest log hurts them, but also you could say that like a quest log, its existence also creates accessibility barriers because, like, if you have if you have OCD or if you even just have a personality where like
I'm describing, where I feel like I end up in an anxiety loop of like, I need to check off everything. And it actually makes it much easier for me to play the game if I can turn that off.
Yes. Yeah. So I was actually thinking, to that point, I was thinking, hey, why aren't there arguments about being able to turn off a quest log and like those markers? Like, a lot of games offer you the ability, as Kirk has noticed over the years and preached, to turn off the minimap, to turn off parts of the UI. But like, there's never really an option to be like, okay, I want the quest log completely gone. I want like all the UI map markers to be gone. That doesn't really seem to be as much of an option.
I wonder if that will emerge, especially post Elden Ring, because I feel like Elden Ring is, I mean, I'm sorry, we all stand Elden Ring, okay? We're all going to talk about it. Because one of the things about it that I'm loving so much is the fact that it has such a minimalist map. Some of the only markers you can see before you unlock things are the markers to unlock more of the map. And even then, the dots on the map, as it were, are like topography. It's like, oh, there's a cave over there. Sometimes there's something in the cave. Sometimes you go over to the cave and there's nothing there. And you're like, okay, it just looked cool on the map and there isn't anything over here. And that owns.
The point that I was going to make is that I think by stripping those icons, it would be like an Emperor's New Clothes thing where like suddenly the poor design of some of these open worlds is revealed because the brilliance of Elden Ring is that you don't need any of that. You don't need guidance. You can wander and find something cool. Whereas if I was playing like something like Horizon, and not to pick on that game, but it's just most recent in my head, so much of the world. Dying Light 2
does it too.
Yeah, Dying Light 2. So much of the world is so samey that I feel like I need the map markers to know where to go find something interesting, where to go find a quest.
Because it's marked on the map. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that like really what Elden Ring should be showing open world designers is that your world should be less vast and sprawling and more dense and interesting.
And also vast and sprawling, because it is a pretty vast and sprawling world. But yeah, I see what you're saying, yes.
It is, but it doesn't even feel vast and sprawling as a world. It feels, because, I don't know, there's something about the way it's designed, the density of it all, that it feels, even though it's a massive, massive game, like I played like 66 hours and I feel like I still haven't seen giant chunks of it.
Yeah.
If it's a massive, massive game, but it doesn't feel like a big ass open world where I'm just like riding around for minutes on end without seeing anything, because there's always something interesting. And I think the density of it all is maybe it just makes it feel smaller than it is in a good way.
It's such an interesting difference, just that there are things in Elden Ring that are kind of systematized, like tunnels and catacombs and things you need to collect, and you kind of assemble your own quest log. And you could actually, maybe not now because the internet is kind of unreliable for this game, but in a little while, you could just basically use the internet, use a wiki as your quest log to like keep track of all the quests if you wanted to.
You can almost do that now. I mean, it's like the guides writers out there are trying their damnedest, including my coworkers, to come up with their own version of a quest log for a massive game, which is a very difficult job. And there's an Elden Ring wiki. Like, there are versions of a quest log that are being filled out right now, and people are deciding what order they think makes sense to go in for different things.
But the version of a quest log that's been most impactful for me is the one that I'm making myself. And the way that motivates me to play is just subtly different, but like importantly different. The way that you're describing, Jason, where I feel really compelled to do, God, at any given point, 6 or 7 things that I'm kind of keeping track of in my head. I need to go talk to him. I need to go look into that thing. I wanted to go back to that catacombs and finish it. I need to get one more thing to give to this guy because I think he's going to give me something. I need to go here. But it's like, I'm all keeping it in my head. If something bigger and more exciting comes along and I forget some of those things, it's not a big deal. And like, maybe I'll remember them later. It's like a player-driven versus game-driven approach to just information, to organizing your information, which it's really surprising how big of a difference that makes.
Well, yeah, if the game did it, it would be like this game is telling me what to do. I don't feel like doing this. And then in this case, I think that's such a salient point, Kirk. And I think I'm doing a notepad file, so I'm not just keeping it in my head. And I found that a notepad file is just really helpful in terms of like, okay, I have to come back to this place. I have to come back. Or I
still forget to write things down sometimes.
Yeah, I know. It's
we do have all all the people I know where I can be like, hey, wait, did anyone do this thing? Like, can you tell me where I go?
Yeah, I've sent you a couple of map map markers, and like Micah sent me
The
a couple.
social aspect of Elden Ring related to all of this is very cool. But I don't want to derail you, Jason.
Yes. Oh yeah. We could talk about that for ages. We can hit that more next week when we do our triple play.
We'll be talking about all of this for ages.
But I think to your point, I think really it's such a psychological difference, and this is really where quest logs become a deficiency in terms of the game telling you should do this, this, and this versus you kind of thinking in your head, oh, hey, should I check this out? Should I do this? Because it just feels like you're doing it on your own, out of your own curiosity, not because the game is telling you it's important, but B, because it might not be important, and that's part of the fun. Like if something was on a quest log, just by definition, it would be delineating to you, this matters, this doesn't matter, this matters, this doesn't matter. But part of the joy of this game is the mystery of not even knowing, like, hey, I glimpsed that thing in the distance. Is that going to matter? Is it important? Oh, hey, I rode all the way over here. I found this catacomb. Turns out it's got nothing but this boss that drops an item I don't even care about. But the joy of discovering that was what mattered. Or like, hey, I talked to this NPC 10 times and she didn't say anything new, but finding that out was worth it, as opposed to being told from a quest log, keep talking to this NPC. Like it's just such a different approach, and God, it's so much better than this game would be.
Although I feel like that is only true of a game like Elden Ring that's very well designed, because I'm thinking about some of the early experiences I had in Grand Theft Auto and like other early open world games where the promise was that you could do anything, but in reality, it didn't feel that way. And you weren't just naturally having these cool experiences everywhere you went. Or at least I know I wasn't. The worlds often felt very flat. Like Elden Ring, it's a good enough game that it truly does feel like everywhere you go, there's something cool to find and discover, because it's actually all been manufactured for you by very talented people. But in these older versions of these games, it didn't always feel that way. And I used to go through a lot more choice paralysis in open world games as a result of that problem, like especially in GTA, early GTA, I'm thinking like 2 and 3, where I would just be like, okay, I can do anything. So then what am I supposed to do? And then I just wouldn't beat the game because I'd be like, I don't even care anymore. Like everything feels meaningless to me, which isn't for whatever reason how Elden Ring feels. But it meant that for several years, I thought I only like open world games if they're transparent, or if they include some type of story or something that I can grab onto, because otherwise I'm like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do in this game, you know? And I don't know if that's true anymore. Like Elden Ring is kind of proving me wrong, but for a while I did feel that way.
I think that Elden Ring is just a different type of game, and it makes up for it in other ways. So Elden Ring does give you a lot of transparency and a lot to latch onto when it comes to stats and equipment and
that's true.
All of that stuff. So you can kind of hang your hat on that while exploring the open world, and that can give people who want some sort of direction. Well, I'm leveling up. I'm like focusing on my build. I'm getting better equipment, and like that is just a kind of separate from the open world. Where I'm actually really fascinated by the opacity of Rockstar games. So those are EOA. Yeah. They're emergent, they're opaque, and the world is largely aesthetic, even though you do drive around and get in car chases. And the opacity of Rockstar games, I think, is actually their secret sauce in a lot of ways. Like, I think that Grand Theft Auto, and especially, Red Dead 2,
especially
holy
Red
crap.
Dead,
That game, the magic of that game.
The strangers,
of the open world specifically, I should say. Like, we're just really focusing on that and not the story, which is like got its own strengths and whatever.
Sure.
Just the open world. The feeling in that game that you have for so long is like that you're really walking around in this unknowable, mysterious world where like you really just don't know. Like, why is the sheriff accosting me right now? Is it because I'm like covered in dirt? Like, do I need to go wash off? Like, what's going on? It gives you this kind of, it lets you suspend your disbelief a little bit and really get lost in the world in a way that's really cool. I think that GTA is like this too. GTA 5, there were so many myths and stories about not just Bigfoot, but like how the police work and are they racially profiling Franklin? And, like all these things that people would start to try to figure out about the world.
Yeah, and the fact that you even can wonder that. I mean, those are the more modern games that introduce the idea of, it's big enough, it's technologically proficient enough that there might be systems under the hood that we don't fully understand, and that's part of the magic of it all.
And that's something that I think that people who try to clone GTA, like all of the wannabes who make open world games, don't necessarily get, and they need to make up for it in other ways. So we've talked a lot about this middle one, about opaque versus transparent, and I think Like, that's a really big one because, like, I think especially all three of us, just to our specific tastes, like the opacity, and then Elden Ring in particular, it's like such a like example of opaque game design done so masterfully. I think the third one, aesthetic versus gamey, is actually one that plays a big role in the kinds of games that I like as well. Even though my favorite games, the games that are most special, tend to be the ones that are mysteries that I have to solve. I do like a game where there's a really fun gamey aspect to moving through the world. Like Dying Light 2 I really loved, and that's mostly on the strength of that third thing. Like, it's a very transparent game, which I think, as we've said, can really be sort of tedious, or it can feel like a checklist. But moving through that checklist, like running around that world, super fun.
I love the emergent half of that too. And to me, it's hard to separate those two things.
Yeah.
Like, what I really enjoyed in Dying Light 2 is like, sure, I know the ticky box on the map is where I have to go, but I can get there any way I want to. And I might just so happen to discover something cool on the way, or just have a bizarre altercation with like either some civilians or some zombies or some other thing I can't possibly imagine. And that is part of what made that game fun to keep playing for me, and isn't necessarily something that's true in Horizon, where the story is the reason I want to finish it. And that's fine. It's just more taking me by the hand and telling me a cool story. But Dying Light 2, the cool story is I was balanced on a light what do I call this? A light over a street light. And then like fell into a weird poison swamp, and then a bunch of zombies nearly got me, and then I like just so happened to run into somebody who was like going to eat me, and they weren't a zombie. And like I don't know, like that idea of this world being bigger than you think it is and weirder than you think it is what's really fun about Dying Light 2.
Kirk, I was thinking about Spider-Man, which isn't on your list, but
I wrote it down over here.
I would think is emergent, transparent, gamey, right? ETG.
Or it's not emergent. I think it's actually more controlled.
It's more controlled.
It's controlled.
Yeah,
it's a CTG.
I guess it's controlled. I was thinking emergent in terms
superhero games like Sunset Overdrive, Batman, Spider-Man. Those are all CTGs.
Okay, I was thinking emergent in terms of just like you run into these random simulations, but whatever. Yeah, that makes more sense. So CTG. So Spider-Man is kind of the horror example of a game where it's just so much fun to swing around its world that you could just do that and be entertained by that and not even think about anything else. You just like swing around New York City and like look at all the beautiful views of the skyscrapers.
Yeah, the CTG is an interesting one. The controlled, transparent, gamey one. So it's like there's usually a checklist. There's activities all over the map. It's not emergent in that, like, there aren't a bunch of colliding systems. It's not a super simulated game. You kind of go somewhere and you do an activity, and then getting from place to place is super fun. Forza Horizon 5 is a recent example where it's like just super fun. The gamey part of it is the focus. It's like, as long as those types of games focus on that part of it, it can be really fun. And I think so the thing to throw out here is that there's this type of open world game, and I would say Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon Forbidden West also, they're kind of the CTA, which is the type of open world game that I would say I raise an eyebrow at the most, despite liking them.
Also, like the new Assassin's Creed games.
The latter day Assassin's Creed.
Valhalla.
And I think the latter day Assassin's Creed games, they move away from the gaminess and more toward the aesthetics. So you're not doing as much of the parkour, and the movement stuff isn't as cool. You're kind of just riding from place to place doing quests. And yeah, I think that's been an interesting takeaway from doing this exercise is like, so there's this type of open world game where there's a big map. It's usually really beautiful. There's usually a story that's the reason I'm playing that kind of pushes me through it. And there's just a huge list of things to do. There's icons all over the map. Everything's really clear. And then moving through the world is actually kind of just like you get on a horse and then ride to the next place and then do a thing.
And in Assassin's Creed, you tell the horse where to go. You don't even have to touch the controller.
Fly as an eagle behind your horse.
Press a button and then you watch the game do its thing. Relax. Oof. It's like it's the epitome of aesthetic and not gamey, is to watch the horse or the camel.
It's interesting. I think that like the aesthetic gamey thing, I don't know, Kirk, you have Outer Wilds here as COA, but I actually think it's more COG because like traveling around in the spaceship and like jumping, like
That's
shooting
true.
around is more
I think
gamey.
it's like that one's a little close to the middle. It could go either way. I see what you're saying, though. Yeah.
People always talk about podcast games. I think the aesthetic, gamey kind of spectrum is where you find the positive. Because if it's an aesthetic game, that's very much a podcast game where you're just riding around.
I don't know. I was getting some podcast listening done in Dying Light too. I feel like that maybe isn't the rubric that allows for the podcast gaminess of it all. I'm not sure what does.
Well, for you, you were just skipping all the story stuff, so that's
well,
why
that's
you
true.
were the podcast.
Well, it's Dying Light too.
But
it's
I think there's something interesting because I think that there is, even though you think of the gamier thing as like you would think of that as a more positive thing because it's like, oh, more stuff to do, and like you were saying, Kirk, like you really enjoyed the Dying Light 2 parkour stuff. The aesthetic thing also has a lot of pros, and I think of like Red Dead 2, like just riding around on the horse in that game, and so many of the moments and the beautiful moments in that game just would not.
I think Ghost of Tsushima as well, and Horizon for that matter. I mean, absolutely, it can be very appealing. And while I think we're identifying things that we individually prefer, none of these things is better than the other thing. Like for a long time, I always talk about how I love games that are really emergent, where there's lots of simulation, which I do like, and I like poking, I like Hitman, I like that kind of thing. But especially looking at this list, I mean, a controlled game where you're really getting what the developers wanted you to have. Outer Wilds is a great example of a game that uses control super brilliantly. So is Elden Ring. I mean, Elden Ring is not a super emergent game. It's very controlled. It's just like incredibly well made. And so you're having this like tailored, awesome experience and working your way through it in this very cool way.
I don't know. You say that none of these are good, bad, but I would argue that less transparency would make most of these open worlds better. Like fewer friggin' marks everywhere.
I think that's fair. I do think that there's a sort of an appeal to transparent games that I want to at least shout out, because I know there are people who will just like playing a game like Horizon. Or I mean, I should say, not to project or imagine people, I have liked playing. Okay, I'll speak for myself.
Some people named Kirk.
So sometimes I like playing a transparent game just because it's nice to like open up the game and be like, all right, okay, I'm just gonna like do a couple of things and like check them off the list and get done with it. And that can be appealing. And sometimes games that are very transparent also sometimes are opaque. Like games can kind of switch.
Yeah, you're the one who always turns off all the UI markers.
Well, no, but also like thinking about Destiny 2, which is kind of an open world game, it doesn't really quite fit. But there can be a game where it's very transparent. They give you a list of things to do. It's very clear on your map. But then also they can introduce things that are opaque. I mean, Destiny 2 at its best, like when The Taken King came out and we were all on that huge wild ship and there was just so much mystery and stuff to do, it felt like playing Elden Ring. Like it felt like we were all solving a puzzle.
And if any of us was playing the Witch Queen, I'm sure we would have lots of thoughts.
I think that it actually might be similar, as from what I'm hearing, is that it has that same vibe.
Yeah, I think some of the games that I'm finding I really like are the games that do both in each category really well. Like while we were talking about Assassin's Creed being like an example of a transparent game, like I keep citing Origins, but it's because it has so many examples on both sides. Like, for example, yes, it's an aesthetic game. You can just ride the camel around. But the climbing in Assassin's Creed Origins it feels so good and it's so satisfying. But it's satisfying for its own sake. Like, you climb to the top of a pyramid because it looks cool, not because you need to do that to get to your next objective. But a lot of times when I was playing that game, I would specifically climb stuff to get to my next objective and treat it like a Dying Light 2, even though that's not what you quote unquote should play the game to do. Like, you don't have to climb over anything to get anywhere. You can just get on your camel and ride there without touching the controller even once. But it's fun to climb, and it's also very easy to climb, as Kirk says. But the challenge of it is like, well, what's the weirdest way I can get from point A to point B? Or like, oh, this will be the scenic route. And I really enjoyed like creating my own quests for myself, which it's not exactly emergent, but I mean, in Elden Ring, some of the stuff that I enjoy the most is the stuff that I would call emergent, like when a bear suddenly pops out of nowhere and it's like hilarious, or like ambushes.
But that's controlled. Those are often like designed.
They were designed to happen to you.
Well, you're right, but there are also parts of it that are emergent, though, because it's just funny. Like, you'll just throw a skull at a guy, or like, I don't know, things happen in that game that are silly.
Yeah, I mean, when I say controlled emergent, it's not like nothing unexpected ever happens, right, in a controlled game.
Well, exactly.
But there are a lot of moments in Elden Ring that are like the bear is invisible over here, and like it's deliberately designed. Or like I have this incredible moment where like there were some butterflies, and I turned around to like go collect them, and the floor fell out under me.
I think that has happened to everyone who's gotten to the place you're talking about, Jason, that happened to me too.
Like,
It was incredible.
And I just
It was
laughed.
incredible. Well, because it's just like, hey,
Amazing.
you think you can go around collecting everything like a robot.
Just walking
like,
up to cliffs, willy-nilly.
it was so funny. But yeah, but like even then, I don't know. I'm a little bit, I just want to harp on this transparency thing just for one more minute, because so many moments in these games, like I'm not even arguing against the quest logs, against the world map markers, but like just tapering it back, like moving a little bit to the left on the spectrum, like a little bit less, just because
sliding the slider a little over.
a little bit, because like even, all right, Horizon, again, not to pick on this game, which I think is really good, but
you
I
just played it
recently. You get to a new city, and instead of having to go around and be like, hey, what are people saying? What's interesting happening here? You just see 4 different green exclamation points, and then you go up to someone, and they're clearly arguing. And then also, in addition to them just clearly arguing and it being clear that you're meant to go talk to them, there's also a giant exclamation point over them.
No,
like,
I know what you mean.
It's so unnecessary.
You know, and that's such an interesting one, just to focus on that one specifically. I think that's totally true. And it's a function of like the way the game has been aesthetically designed also, because in Elden Ring, there would just be one guy and like he would be alone in a field. And then you would know you're supposed to go talk to the one guy.
He's the only guy.
Because they're not trying
That's like
to make
a completely different world design, though. Like,
Well, no,
Elden Ring
that's
is
what I'm saying,
terrifying.
though. Well, they're solving
Yeah.
this problem that they've introduced by creating these believable cities,
Yeah.
which are cool. I mean, aesthetically,
Yeah.
they're cool when you go.
But then which person do you talk to? You're like me and Suikoden 2 talking to every single
Yes,
person
and
about
that-
where the item shop
So this is exactly what I was thinking of, is Maddy talking about NPCs.
And then Jason is insisting to me that I know exactly who to talk to, and I don't, okay? I don't know who to talk to in Suikoden 2. I just
First of
don't.
all, Maddy, you'll get it eventually.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
But Kirk, that problem has been solved. Other games have solved that problem. Like even going as blatant as to have a person come up to you and be like, "Hey, player," or like, "Hey, you're the savior. Like, come here. I need to talk to you." Like,
what Skyrim
the problem
does.
has been solved in so many ways that like having the exclamation points everywhere is just like, "Oh my god, do I really need this game?" Like, I just got mad at the game for telling me what to do. I was like, I don't want to keep talking to all these green exclamation points.
Yeah, I'm just sort of observing how it works. I'm not like saying they should or shouldn't do this or anything.
wait,
It
I'm-
also strips away any possibility of mystery. And Maddy, to your point, like an Assassin's Creed game, because it's so clearly signposts where everything interesting is, you don't even know. You don't have that sense of wonder of like, hey, what if I climb to the top of the pyramids just for the sake of it? And maybe there'll be something cool there. Like your curiosity is
But
not
you
rewarded.
already know. Yeah.
And there's nothing I love more in a game than the rewarding of curiosity, and that's why Outer Wilds is one of my favorite games ever, among some other like exploration focused games. It's just like that feeling of like, oh, I poked around over here and I was rewarded for it. And the transparency in game UIs and icons and stuff just kind of kills that. It's just like, well, nothing, no need to be curious because I can just follow all these icons.
I mean, if the game does that, they then need to lean on other ways to make the game fun, which I would argue plenty of games do. There are lots of fun games that aren't super opaque.
Yeah, and Horizon is super fun. Yeah, shooting robot dinosaurs is crazy fun. It's just the open world parts that, like, yeah.
So, Jason, what do you think that Suikoden 2 is transparent or opaque?
I don't think it's an open world game, so it's not quite the same.
Kind of is.
But I think it's opaque, mostly. Like, there are no quest markers. There's nobody telling you what to do next. And that combined with the poor translation can be frustrating, yeah.
Well, no, I feel like part of how that game gets around it is by assuming that you're going to use a player's guide.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, a lot of old games do
And
that.
these games that we're talking about now would never make that assumption. I mean, they might assume you're Googling it, but I feel like something like Horizon or even Dying Light 2 is actually trying to help you by being like, you don't need to talk to every single person in the town. You just need to talk to the people with exclamation points. They're trying to make it easier. It's just they're maybe making it a little bit too easy to an extent.
It's kind of a balancing act.
Yeah, but I want a game that doesn't present that problem in the issue. Like, there should never be an issue of like, I get to a town and I have to go around and like there shouldn't be, I shouldn't feel frustrated by the process. It should be so enjoyable to go around and do something, whether it's talk to people or explore or whatever, that I don't need the game hand holding me through the process, because that's just a sign of like something has gone wrong in your open world game design. But I don't know. Horizon rules, guys. Horizon is really good.
Yeah, it is really good. I feel like we sound like we're being hard on it, but I do feel like the part of it that I like is that sometimes I do just want a game to tell me what to do.
I think that's totally fair.
I can't make a decision based on this list and be like, oh, this is the kind of game I like, because it truly depends on my mood. And there are times where I'm like, I don't want to have to make a decision today about what I'm going to do. I want the game to hold my hand and tell me exactly what I'm going to do next and tell me a story while I'm doing it. And that means I like a transparent game, I guess.
Totally
I just
fair.
don't want it to waste my time. Like I want it to be transparent, but I don't want it to lead me on a bunch of to-do list items that are filler and BS that is just in there to make the game longer and bigger for the sake of marketing and not because anybody enjoyed designing those quests or playing them for that matter. And sometimes I get that impression.
Yeah, I think that's a different part of this.
That is the
open
problem,
world.
really.
Yeah, that's a different. Well,
not the transparency of
the
it
quest
all.
design is definitely a different component of this all than the open world part of it that is on the rubric we're discussing.
Yes. I mean, I think in the end, any combination of these letters, of the ECOTAG system, any combination of these letters can be a great game. Pretty much every game we've listed here is good. And I like all three of the games that we've been talking about. Dying Light 2, Horizon Forbidden West, and Elden Ring are all fantastic games. And I like them all for different reasons, like you're saying. And I think it's other decisions about how you use that open world are kind of what make the game good. Does it have a great story? Is it super fun and empowering? Is it really funny? Is it really beautiful looking? You know, there's so many different things that you can add to any of these types of open worlds. And I do think that it's been kind of interesting to do this experiment and sort of figure out if we can nail this down a little bit. So yeah, we'll put a link to this. I'll post it somewhere. And we'll make it so you can kind of look at this and make sense of it. And this was a lot of fun to talk about, though. I think this will be helpful when we're thinking more about open world games in the future. All right, why don't we take a break, and then we'll be back for one more thing.
Hi, I'm looking for a movie.
Oh, I got you.
There's that new foreign film with the time travel.
There's an amazing documentary about queer history on streaming.
Have I told you about this classic where giant robots fight?
Or there's that one that most critics hated, but I thought was actually pretty good.
Ooh, I know. The one with the huge car chase, and then there's that scene where
the car jumps over the submarine.
Wow, who are you eclectic movie experts?
Well, I'm Ify Wadiway.
I'm Drea Clark.
And I'm Alonso Duralde. And together we host the movie podcast Maximum Film.
New episodes every week on MaximumFun.org.
And you actually just walked into our recording booth.
Oh, weird. Sorry. I thought this was a video store.
You seem like a lady with a lot of problems.
Well, Manolo, we have a show to promote. It's called After Game Show.
It's a family-friendly podcast where listeners submit games and we play them with callers from around the world.
Oh, sounds good. New episodes happen every other Wednesday on MaximumFun.org.
It's a fast and loose oasis of absurd innocence and naivete.
Are you writing a poem?
No, and just saying things from my memory. And it's a nice break from reality. Are we allowed to say that?
I don't know. It sounds bad.
It comes with a 100% happiness guarantee.
It does not. Come for the games and stay for the chaos.
And we're back for one more thing. I'm going to go first. My thing is kind of short, and it's kind of different, or it's kind of random. It's just a thought I had that I wanted to mention on the show. A little hobby horse I wanted to ride for a moment, and that is public defenders. That is my one more thing. So
The Job?
The Job and the people who do it.
Oh, I thought this was going to be a new Netflix show.
It is not, in fact, a new Netflix show. No, I am actually talking about public defenders. So if you've been following the news, in addition to all of the terrifying stuff that's happening outside of the country, Ketanji Brown Jackson was nominated for the Supreme Court by Joe Biden. She is a first in a number of ways, first black woman nominated to the Supreme Court. She seems to be an excellent judge. And she also is a former public defender, which is super unusual. I learned this when reading about her. I don't follow this stuff super closely, but I was just reading and I saw a few articles that were like, typically prosecutors are the ones who get posted to these positions. So it's a lot of prosecutors on the Supreme Court. She was a public defender. Then I just read a lot of people talking about public defenders, and as it happens, my mom was a public defender for a very long time. So I think very highly of public defenders, people who work for the city or for the state, and they just go represent anybody who needs an attorney, and that's their job. And I just wanted to say, this is a thing that's always bugged me, and it's that I really have never liked the way that public defenders are typically depicted in movies and in games and in various places. And I think about My Cousin Vinny, which is a movie that we recently watched. fantastic, great movie, whatever, like very, very funny. But there's the typical character is like the hapless public defender who's sort of worthless and, overworked, which many public defenders are, but also kind of incompetent and blundering. And then eventually the really great slick attorney needs to come and sweep in and save the day. And so very typically, like you'll hear, oh God, they're going to give you a public defender, you're screwed. And it's just like this sort of unfair trope about public defenders. And I just want to say that I think that trope sucks and that public defenders rule, and that any public defenders out there listening to this, you rock and you're doing super good work. You're helping a lot of people and you're great. And public defenders deserve our respect.
Hell yeah.
And any filmmakers listening, stop skewing.
Yeah, make a cool public defender character.
Yeah, make
Cut
a
that
Netflix
trope
show.
out. It's bullshit.
Well, Better Call Saul is all about a cool public defender, but maybe not so cool. Maybe kind of fucked up.
Right, a little different. But yeah, among the many weird ways that our justice system is depicted in film, that public defender trope bugs me.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways, hobby horse over with. Let's Jason, how about you go next, since you're doing something that is new?
My one more thing is the Steam Deck. On which I played Elden Ring. So let's talk about Elden Ring. No.
Nicely done.
So for the past few weeks, I've been using the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck is Valve's new hardware. It's a portable gaming machine. It kind of looks like a supersized Nintendo Switch because it's really big. And it's actually weird going to the Switch after you've used the Steam Deck for a while because it's so humongous that the Switch feels like this tiny, fragile little thing. It rules, you guys. It's really good. It's like, it's got some problems. It's like the battery life isn't great. It feels it's definitely coming in super hot. Like while I was testing it, Valve was sending us a new email every single day about patches and stuff. So it's getting super hot. In fact, when I first got it at the beginning of February, it was like basically incompatible with everything in my library. And gradually over time, it got more and more compatibility. But it really rules. It's like, this is the closest thing that I've had to like this super convenient portable PC that just plays any possible game. Like I will never have to beg for a Switch port of the newest indie because I could just get it on Steam and play it on the Steam Deck, assuming that it runs well there, which most games have. I was playing God of War on this thing at I think I was playing it at 30 frames per second because it runs in like high fidelity mode by default, but I think I could have switched it to performance mode and run it at 60 frames a second. It's like it runs things like a mid-level, like a pretty powerful, decently powerful PC. So what happened this weekend, and I haven't even loaded it up with like emulators and stuff, which I'm very excited to test out because this thing is just like a retro gaming dream come true. And it feels really comfortable, by the way. I didn't mention, but it feels good. The triggers are good. Like everything's in a good position. The bumpers are a little awkward, but like you get used to them. The trackpads seem pretty competent. Their back buttons, Kirk, you will be happy to hear. In general, it's just like a well-built machine. And like unlike the Steam machines and Valve's other kind of half-baked attempts at hardware, this feels like it like really is them going all in on this thing, and that's why they're producing it themselves and not like working with some random PC makers to stick their name on this thing. But anyway, so this weekend, I was going to my family. I was going to hang out at my aunt's house with my family, celebrate a birthday, and so we all packed up there. And I'd been pretty much playing Elden Ring every single day for the past like 2 weeks before this, and I was like, man, I'm gonna go through withdrawal. I better download Elden Ring on the Steam Deck and see how it goes. So I bring the Steam Deck with me, and I'm sitting there with my family. We're all just hanging out, whatever. I pull out the Steam Deck, load it up, and it runs perfectly. It's like, it's not 60 frames a second or anything, but it's running totally great. Like I can go in and kill some bosses. And so suddenly I'm sitting there, wind up spending the next like 3 hours. Because one nice thing about hanging out with family is you can be like, okay, mom, dad, take the toddler, and you can watch her for a while. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there on the couch while the rest of the family's playing with my kid, sitting there on my Steam Deck.
You're missing out on adorable moments, like her first words.
Maddy, I get plenty of adorable moments. Don't worry.
I'm sure you do.
But like, first of all, it's just like spoke to the power of Elden Ring that I just could not glue. Like I could not get away from it.
And Valve made that possible for you.
Yeah, it's this marvel of a machine where like never before. And I know there have been like portable gaming PCs and there are all sorts of like things like this that have existed in the past, but never before have they made it this convenient to just like log in on Steam, immediately have this great interface that like works like Steam Big Picture mode, can play anything from my Steam library that works, which is most games at this point, on this thing, and it just works like a charm. And then on top of that, you can also go into desktop mode and like start tooling around with it like a PC and like add some apps and add some emulators and do all sorts of stuff with this thing. So it's really, really cool. And I know it's like back ordered and people can't get a hold of them. So I hope anyone who wants one will be able to get one soon, because this thing could really be a game changer, especially for those of us with small children who have to play games portably a lot.
As long as somebody else is watching them at the time. Yeah.
Well, I
Game
also,
changer.
before that was an extreme example, but before that, I did actually, there was one time where like my kid was taking a nap and then she woke up screaming and I had to go get her. And so I was in the middle of a game. And so I brought my Steam Deck to the living room and like was able to sit with her while she played and like I was playing. So yes, parents out there will know that portable gaming makes such a huge difference. And this thing, it's really cool. I really love it. It's going to be like regular part of my gaming rotation for sure.
That story you tell is just so like when Breath of the Wild was on Switch when we were reviewing the Switch and had to go to GDC, and it was that same feeling of, oh man, I gotta wait a minute, I can just take this amazing huge game I'm playing with me.
It's crazy.
It's perfect timing.
That's very cool. Nice. Well, Maddie, what's your one more thing?
Okay, I picked Elden Ring. I didn't realize how much we're going to talk about Elden Ring on this show. I'm gonna talk about something a little bit more specific with Elden Ring, which is, if you're a person who's new to Souls games and you don't know whether this is for you or not, and I've seen a lot of talk about this. I wrote an article about it last week at Polygon about how I think people should give it a try. I don't think it's Skyrim or Breath of the Wild levels. It's not that kind of game. As Souls games have a lot of things about them that are really weird and funny, in my opinion. There's a lot of almost Looney Tunes slapstick comedy in terms of how many times you die, how weird your deaths can be. You have to kind of be willing to accept that level of dying that many times and have it be funny to you, as opposed to thinking of it as a failure. That's very much the mindset that you have to enter into with these games. I don't see it as like, oh, you just have to get better and you learn something every time you die. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. That's true in literally every video game. You learn something every time you die in Mario. You're already familiar with that. There's nothing new about that here. I do think the mindset of accepting that it's kind of funny and being lighthearted about it helps a lot, or it's helped me a lot. But the other piece of it that I want to talk about, so the first boss that you hit in this game, Margit, I feel like he's French, so I've decided his name is pronounced Margit. He's the worst. He sucks. I've beaten him, but I don't like this guy. He's very annoying, and he is intended to be very annoying. He has a massive health bar. And this is one of these things that Souls games do, where if you run into something that's too hard for you, it's actually telling you that you need to leave and go do something else. And that is very counterintuitive. Like, the game isn't going to tell you that. But like, what you need to do is leave and make sure that you get this summoning bell from this cool witch lady. Like, maybe you haven't even met her yet, but you got to go wander around, make sure you find this cool witch, and she's going to give you a summoning bell. It's going to make your life 1,000 times easier when you can summon cool monsters to help you fight. And you're going to run around and you're going to discover all these other items and like different armor, and you can like go explore the entire Weeping Peninsula, which is like all this area south of you, without even having to defeat that guy. And there's also a way to sneak all the way around that castle, that very first castle, and you can explore a ton of other stuff to the north and get even more cool items and become stronger. And you meet NPCs, and some of those NPCs can help you in boss battles. Like, if you're nervous about summoning other real players, just because maybe that gives you some anxiety, you can meet other NPCs, and then those NPCs are available to you to be summoned to help you out with the fight. And that is basically like, once you got your summoning bell and you got an NPC to help you, boss battles is not that bad. It's not as bad. It's still bad. I'm not saying it's easy. You still gotta, be strafing and rolling around, but like, it's not as bad. And I feel like the game, it doesn't spell that out for you exactly, so I'm spelling it out. I'm telling you don't need to fight that guy right away.
Well, it does kind of spell it out for you. I think it does, and I think that like people who you need to like really read the visual language of the game. At the very beginning, the first thing you see is this dude on a horse, the tree sentinel, and if you run up to him, he will kill you instantly. And really, the game is teaching you with that first thing, or even the tutorial boss. Like every single Souls game starts off with this boss that kills you immediately.
And every single Souls game puts a super high level enemy in the opening area. That's a really old,
That's
old
right.
from thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And the whole idea is that, like, hey, you can run past enemies. You don't have to fight this now. Come back later. You will be stronger. I think that's like, I think the game spells it out pretty hard, even though it doesn't say it to you in words.
It does, but what I'm saying, it doesn't spell out to you. It doesn't tell you, oh, summoning is actually a really key piece of this game to such an extent that, like, you will be able to summon monsters that help you. So even if you're against summoning NPCs to help you or against summoning players, which many hardcore FromSoft gamers are against summons, Elden Ring is really like, screw you. You're going to like summoning. Like, you're going to freaking like it because you're not going to be able to get through this without it. Yeah. So go ahead and like it and get some help with these things. And I love that about Elden Ring. I think it's awesome. And I want to encourage people to explore and not feel really intimidated by this game. I wish more people had told me that about Souls games before I started them. They're not that bad. Like, I don't know. People get so weird about them.
They're really not. I posted on Twitter. I'll leave this in the show notes too. This great thread by a designer named Stephen Lumpkin at Guerrilla Games, talking about how, like, despite the rep they have, these games are really not that unapproachable.
Yeah, they're not. It's just that they're different. They teach you things in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, I think this game in particular, because there are so many things you can do at any given moment, you can never really get stuck anytime. And in other games, you can get stuck on a boss.
You can get like 30 hours a game without ever fighting a single boss if you want.
I think you can access the entire map without beating a boss. Like, you can. I mean, not the entire map without beating a boss, but you can. A lot of it, like a shocking amount of it, without being.
But it's also like, anytime you end up in a new area and you're like, oh, this area seems kind of tough, you just leave.
Yeah, you just leave.
And then you find some other cool areas that aren't as tough, and you find cool items. I don't know. This game freaking rules. I just don't want people to be intimidated by it, because I think it's awesome, and I'm Souls pilled, and I just want to Souls pill more people.
Love it.
That's my Elden Ring thought.
Love it.
I hope more people try it.
Well, we're going to talk a lot more about Elden Ring next week. We're going to do a whole triple play on it. That's going to be really exciting. Man, it's a good game. It's going to be fun to talk about it more. But until then, I'm going to go and play it. And I'll see the two of you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Triple Click is produced by Jason Schreier, Maddy Myers, and me, Kirk Hamilton. I edit and mix the show and also wrote our theme music. Our show art is by Tom DJ. Some of the games and products we talked about on this episode may have been sent to us for free for review consideration. You can find a link to our ethics policy in the show notes. Triple Click is a proud member of the Maximum Fun Podcast Network, and if you like our show, we hope you'll consider supporting us by becoming a member at MaximumFun.org/join. Find us on Twitter at TripleClickPod, send email to tripleclick@MaximumFun.org, and find a link to our Discord in the show notes. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned. Audience supported.